Let's talk for a bit about the DA Aqua Master. Also thrown in here would be the Voit Navy, which was the same regulator, had a different front can with a Voit logo, shiny, a little different configuration, but inside it's all the same. So what we're talking about here pretty much applies to it as well. The DA Aqua Master appears first in the 1958 catalog, and the last appearance that I could find in the catalogs was 1972 for U.S. divers. Internally, the regulator throughout the years is all the same. The early regulators had a satin finish as opposed to the chrome finish. Once again, the internals are all the same. As the years progressed, they changed into a large circular label in about 69, which continued throughout their run through 72. I understand they were available still to order through 75, so for whatever that's worth. But internally, they're all the same. The same service kit fits all years DA Aqua Master, so it really doesn't make much difference. So the design worked, they didn't really see a need to change it. As far as value-wise, DA Aqua Masters are about as rare as Toyota Corollas. They made millions of them. The value of them is whatever somebody wants to pay. It's an inexpensive regulator. It works great. Aside from a few variants, perhaps the one with the non-magnetic finish, which was used by special operations for a time, and a few of the very early ones without the hookup port, they're all the same. Don't overpay a fortune for a DA Aqua Master. There's just really no reason to. There's really nothing to gain from the initial regulator. Another misnomer is the crown sticker on them. I get a lot of emails saying, well, it has a crown sticker, so it must be a Royal Aqua Master. Well, that's not true. They put stickers on all kind of regulators. Aqua Masters, Royals, Mistrals, you know, you'll see them on everything. So just because it has a crown sticker on it doesn't make much difference at all. Service-wise, it's an easy regulator service, but it's important to service it. Even if you get one pristine out of the box, you're still dealing with, you know, 50-some-year-old rubber seals, gaskets, washers that have deteriorated over the years. And with the price of the service kit, there's no reason to not rebuild it from scratch and start again with a good working regulator. The majority of the regulators I see come in looking like this. So, and we've really updated a lot of the service features and you know, procedures that we do. And overall, you're just going to be a lot happier with the regulator if you just tear it down to the bare nuts and bolts, get it cleaned up, and start again. This video I'm not covering service on. I'm just going to kind of give you some of the ideas and options you have available for your regulator. So just kind of bear with me if I ramble a little bit here. On the back of all the DA Aqua Masters, one of the features they put on there was a port for a hookup port attachment or service support air. This version, give the camera a second to focus, shows the first stage blocked off and is simply made for surface supplied air, which was popular then for a lot of folks. Interesting enough, the Navy in their initial literature never specified having a hookup port on the regulator. They didn't request it in their initial proposal. So you'll see a few really early ones in a satin finish without the hookup port on at all. Most of those went to the Navy, but like we've covered in other videos, U.S. divers didn't throw anything away, so they sold those to the public too. It's really not you know, a diamond or anything to be overly excited about, but it's a little more unusual. One of the big questions I get about these is, well, I can't use this with a 3000 psi cylinder because this is a low pressure yoke. Well, yeah, okay, that I understand the following of the logic, but these regulators, the DA Aqua Master was used by the U.S. Navy on 3000 psi cylinders from the day one. They never specified a different yoke for them, and later on U.S. divers did update and use a thicker yoke on the regulator, but I think more of that was due to the fact that they were making the yoke for the con shelf. They didn't see any reason to make two yokes anymore, and they just put the bigger, thicker yoke on them with a larger, you know, plastic knob. 3,000 psi, the difference between a full 72 and a 3,000, it's negligible. You know, at worst, you know, the worst thing that's really going to happen is you're going to get an O-ring distension if there ever was a problem, but a lot of that's really old wives' tales, and yeah, neither here nor there. Second question I get the most is, how do I use a pressure gauge with my DA Aqua Master? Well, there's a couple of ways to go about it. First, you could use a valve that has a high pressure port on it. A lot of the early Decor valves had them, some of the Healthways did, and you can screw it right into the valve, run your pressure gauge off that. One of the challenges with the DA Aqua Master is that there is no provision for a high pressure outlet. Later on the DA Aqua Master, they changed the yoke. It's really no thicker, but they made it longer, and it's what you'll always see folks on the internet, and you know, folks that you talk to refer to as a long yoke. And here's an example of a long yoke. I'll put them side by side, and you can see. And you can see it's definitely a larger opening inside. The thickness itself, the yoke itself did not change. One of the reasonings for using the long yoke, which they also used on several other their single hose regulators, is it allows you to use a banjo fitting. And banjo fitting, why it's called that, it's kind of obvious by the looks. But your pressure gauge screws in here, and then this allows enough space for your regulator to fit in the valve with the banjo fitting. See if I can set it up here. Banjo fitting, once it's attached to your pressure gauge, just goes up against the cylinder valve, and then you've got enough clearance to tighten it down, and it sandwiches it in there, and you've got a pressure gauge on there. That's, you know, the most inexpensive direct route. It was popular almost from day one use with the DA Aqua Master. Second question is, well, I need to run a safe second stage on my DA Aqua Master, or I need a dry suit inflator hose. The hooker port is a low pressure port attachment, so it's simple to just simply unscrew the nut from the hooker port, screw on a hooker port adapter, and that will allow you to screw in any 3/8 low pressure, once again low pressure fitting to it. So you could run a safe second, you could run a secondary inflator hose, or a BC dry suit hose. So that gives you a little idea of what's available for that. Now I've pretty well, I hope I've instilled the need to service the regulator from the get-go, getting it back to as new as possible. It's inexpensive to do. The service manual, the factory service manual, is in the manuals and catalog section, so you don't have to search the world over for that. Now I'm going to show you a couple of options throughout the years that we've come up with that you can add to your regulator. And all the options I'm going to show you here are not permanent modifications. You could always revert it back to the original configuration if you like, and it's all this is easily done by a person, or I can certainly do it for you. One of the more recent things we've come out with, and this one's not assembled, but I call it the Cyclone first stage. It completely replaces the first stage in the DA Aqua Master, which is an unbalanced first stage. By adding the Cyclone first stage, you are giving yourself a balanced first stage, which the Royal Aqua Master had, the Conshelf has, the Argonaut Kraken has. So this comes as a complete assembly. Screw it in. You've got some other adjustments to your intermediate pressure and things like that to do, but you've got a balanced first stage. And the parts that in the first stage are interchangeable with Conshelf. They're all readily available off the shelf, and a lot of people find working with the balanced first stage is easier to do than working with the original unbalanced first stage. Another option you can go to, and it's a more expensive option, is called the Phoenix. And the Phoenix completely replaces the first stage again, but the Phoenix has 3 high pressure and 3 low pressure outlets. So you've got, in essence, 3 outlets for a high pressure hose and 3 outlets for a low pressure hose. So you can run a BC hose, a safe second stage, a dry suit hose. You can run everything at once, plus a pressure gauge, sending unit, whatever you want. This is a balanced first stage, just like the Royal Aqua Master, like the Cyclone is. It also has the later, thicker yoke, which lets it fit some of the bigger, newer valves, the modular valves. And it's been a very popular option. That we came out with that in around, Luis came up with that in around 2005, and we kind of been taking it from there. Another option that folks really like is, let's take a look at the second stage here. The second stage on the original double hose US divers, the Royal and the DA Aqua Master, it's the same, is somewhat limiting. Your adjustment is somewhat limited, your spring work a little bit limited, your travel. What we've come up with is called the HPR. And this completely replaces your second stage. Get a little closer here. Uses a standard high pressure seat. Has the lever geometry on this is far superior than the original. It's modular. What I mean by that is you can remove the 2 screws, unscrew the HPR, put a new seat in, never really mess with your adjustment. It also allows you a few options to work with the Venturi ports that are on the side by blocking or unblocking those to get more Venturi flow. This in combination with the new silicone diaphragm that you should always use with the HPR, even if you kept the original first stage, this is going to drastically improve your breathability. It lowers the work of breathing by quite a bit, so it's a nice option to have. Something else that most everybody always gets rid of is the C-clips. They are a pain to put on and take off. Most folks just replace it with a simple band clamp ring, which replaces those, holds the 2 can halves together, makes it easy if you want to inspect between your dive trips or for your annual service, just to check and be sure everything looks good inside. I do remanufacture the Duckbill, which is in most of the regulators, when you take it apart, you're going to find most of this has glued itself to the inside of the can, inside of the exhaust horn, so you'll spend plenty of time getting that out. The silicone is much more flexible. It does not adhere to the metal. The life on these is, I'm not sure, they're pretty well impervious to everything. Another option that folks like, as opposed to the Duckbill, is to simply replace it with what we call a Duckbill Eliminator. And this simply goes into the can. I apologize, bear with me one sec. I will take this apart and we'll take a look at it. Should have had one ready for the video, but as usual I didn't. There we go, we'll take our donor here. Very simple. Where the Duckbill would just lay flat here in the can, the Duckbill Eliminator uses an adhesive. Goes in like so. Once you put it in there, no need to really service it ever again other than run some fresh water through it. The valve that is in here is silicone. And is it going to give you some remarkable increase or decrease in exhalation effort? No, probably not. But you don't have to mess with worried about the Duckbill sliding it over the horn, sliding it over the hoses, just getting it curled up. It just eliminates having to mess with that all the way around. So I think in a nutshell that should give you a little better idea of what you could do with your DA Aqua Master. This is a great regulator platform to start with, to start learning double hose, working on your own equipment. And like I say, all the improvements that I've talked about are available on the website, in the website store. There's also a great message forum where you can read all about the modifications that we do, ask questions, get information, and I hope this gives you a little better overview of what you can do with your DA Aqua Master. Visit the website forum to ask questions, send me an email, or give me a call, either way. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.